Yes.
Oh,
Judy.
about the convention, the
Yes.
agenda is on the website. I didn't.
Not yet, I don't think. People are asking for it. I think it should be, but it's not. The good news, bad news is registration is open, but
Yes.
between you and me, you don't have to rush today to do it. As long as you do it before while the early bird special is still
Yes.
on. Obviously, I'd like to know as soon as possible because they want to have some sense of numbers, especially because this is the first time we've done it in person in 6 years. So they would like to have, we would like to have numbers, but it's not a rush as long as you do it before the and also just point of information is you have to register for the hotel separately. We used to many years ago have the hotel part of it, but then it got to be messy. People wanted to change rooms, and this way, if people just deal with the hotel themselves personally, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it was easy. I took care of it already.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal, but I look forward to seeing hopefully some of you there. And it really should be wonderful. Anyway, and it's nice seeing people. One of the big highlights is seeing people more than from the chest up, and finding and being able to hug. So people are looking forward to it. Okay.
In my case,
we did not. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you, Judy.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am. I'm joking.
Yes. But the interesting thing is to see how tall people are, because that's one thing you really cannot tell online. Like somebody actually mentioned how tall they were, and I was very surprised because I would not have pictured them that way. So it's very interesting. Anyway,
5'2".
Me too. I have a friend that used to be 5'2", and now she's only 5 feet. So.
Yeah, I shrunk. I used to be bigger.
Me too, but
what can I tell you?
Anyway, I'm sorry.
One thing we did not do last week that I would like to just go over because it seems like a reasonable thing to do is the order of the Seder. That should be in the beginning of your Haggadah, whichever Haggadah you have. If you have the yellow and red one, it's on page 4. The tricky one is the one that we usually use, which is the Feast of Freedom, because their Hebrew is very artistic, but what's missing? Does anybody know what's missing?
Is the wine glass missing?
No, they're all there. Try to read it.
I can't. It's blurry.
Okay. Blurry is not the problem. There are no vowels. That's what the part that and some you could probably figure out. Anyway, even you could figure out in the same way as when you see shalom, you know what shalom, even without vowels. But it does. The good news, bad news is in that Haggadah, it has it in transliteration as well as the Hebrew without vowels. But I'd like to just go over that because so you see the pieces of the Seder that you're going to get to. It's fun. There's one Haggadah that in the bottom, I think it is, we have the Haggadah somewhere. It says which part of the service you're in. And it'll say, Kadesh where it is, and it'll say Magid on all the pages under the story. But just so we really have a picture of the order, since that's what Seder is, I'm going to read the order, and then maybe somebody else would like to read too. The first one is Kadesh. We know what the Kadesh is.
What page is it on here?
And which you have the big one. It's on. Well, good news, bad news. This is another problem they had with this Haggadah. Is some books have more page numbers than others. This one I have. It's on actually page 22 and 23.
Judy, do you happen to also have the Maxwell House one?
I actually don't. I looked. What happened? My bad news. She has Maxwell. Good. So you should be able to see. Just so we also know our Haggadahs. I was going to get one, but the problem is I went to this kosher supermarket and they don't have it. I have to go to Stop and Shop, and then I can get a Maxwell House Haggadah. So before next week, Maxwell House Haggadah.
Okay.
But in the Haggadah, it should just for information, and everyone is a little different. And we found out that last week that the introduction to the think of the word before the Kiddush is different for the book, but the general thing you'll have is some books will even have the preparation for Seder, for Pesach, I should say, the cleaning. It'll have the cleaning and whatever. Even in the red and yellow, and I don't know about the other one. Oh, this one I know has everything in it. It has the search for chametz in some of them, but for sure. Yeah, and both of the ones that I have, it has the search for chametz. Then after you search for chametz, you do the bracha. You do the bracha when you do the search for chametz. And one of the things you say, because when we talk about cleaning, is you search for the chametz and you say that but you also say if there's anything else left that I didn't find or I didn't sell or whatever, it's null and void. So even if you find something during Pesach, you don't have to worry. And I do also suggest that everybody that you do sell your chametz. It's a very easy thing. Most shuls make it fairly easy. There's a form you have to sign. And one of the things that we had happen in our shul, Barry had to buy the chametz from everybody, is people are afraid. They want to wait to the last minute to sell their chametz. But you don't have to get to the last minute because there's a date on and time on it. You sell it as of. So I can still use it now. I can still use it until Pesach. But then once Pesach comes, you don't own it anymore and you can't use it. And so you can sell it anytime. If you have more than one home that you have food in, you sell them for both any places that you have. And the only deal is, first of all, you have to do it and sign something usually. And usually you make a contribution to whatever. The discretionary of Hamazon, whatever, the rabbi would be happy with some contribution just because it was a transaction took place and you want to say thank you. So that's, first of all, you sell, so you look for chametz and you sell your chametz. Selling can become first selling, then looking. Then we say nothing, it's gone, we don't have to worry about that. Then this year, we have to say a special bracha because of the fact that Shabbos follows the 2 days of Yom Tov. One of the main differences between Yom Tov and Shabbat is you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov, not on Shabbat. But the clarification some people don't always realize is you're only allowed to cook for that day of Yom Tov. You're allowed to cook, but you're not supposed to be doing for other times, just for so you can eat. You cook. So you can cook for Thursday, you can cook for Friday. What happens? If you can only cook for Friday, what do you eat on Friday night and Saturday? So there's a special bracha you do, and you set aside two prepared things. Usually we do a matzah and a hard-boiled egg. And as long as you start it on Yom Tov, you can use it for Shabbos. So there's a special bracha, and you'll find it in your Haggadah for cooking for Shabbat. Anyway, then once you do all that stuff, now we're getting to the actual Seder. The first thing you actually do is, do we do the bracha for the? No. Okay. First, we light the candles. Okay. First, we light the candles. Just as another point of information, this year we don't have to deal with it because the Seder is Wednesday night and Thursday night. But when we start on Shabbos, if you want to start a little earlier, especially when it's later, you could do other pieces before. You could do some of the Magi, the story, before you actually make it into Yom Tov. So, but that does not apply this year. So the first thing this year we'll do is the candle lighting. Candle lighting is the same candle lighting that we do anytime we light candles, except for the very last words. And instead we say shall for either Shabbat, Hanukkah,
or Yom Tov.
What we say, if you cheat and look in your Haggadah, or tell me what we say for Pesach.
Is it Yom Tov?
Yes, exactly. It's Yom Tov. There's one other one. Yom Tov is usually anytime that's not Shabbat or Hanukkah, it's Yom Tov. If it's Sukkot, it's Yom Tov. It's Shmini Atzeret, it's Yom Tov. The only time it's not is Yom Kippur, and it's Yom HaKippurim. But all the other times it's Yom Tov unless it's Hanukkah or Shabbat. Everything, and so that's the same thing, and except for, as we do with every holiday, we do the Shechianu after we do light the candle.
So what, yes.
I'm going to a Seder on Friday. The family also, they're having a Seder on Friday. Is that allowed? Okay. So it's Shabbat and it is Passover. It's the week. Passover. So which one takes precedence, Shabbat or for the candle lighting? Shabbat or Yom Tov? Or both?
I will tell you, I am not going to tell you you shouldn't go to Seder on Friday night, but you should not do Yom Tov on Friday night because it's not Yom Tov anymore.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I would just do Shabbat if I were you.
Okay,
I would just
fine.
do Shabbat.
Okay.
Yeah. Normally Shabbat does take precedence anyway, but you would only do Shabbat. Actually, not.
Yeah, there's 3 Seders.
Some people have 1, some people have 2. Arlene has 3. What can I tell you? It's not.
We'll have to see. Okay.
You get to celebrate with more people. What can I tell you? So that's a good thing. So this is before the Seder starts, actually, the candle lighting. Okay, because it's not actually in the order of the Seder. In the order starts with Kadesh, which is Kiddush. Okay, so Kadesh, Karpas, Yachatz, Nagid, Rochza, Motzi, Matzah, Maror, Korech, Shulchan, Orech, Tafun, Barech, Alel, Nirtza. Okay, so the Kiddush we know is number 1. Yachatz is we wash our hands. What's the tricky part about washing our hands at the Seder for anybody?
No blessing.
Thank you. Exactly. No blessing. There's different reasons given for a no blessing. One is just forget to get people to ask questions. One is because you're not actually eating any bread or matzah at that time, but there's no blessing at that time. Okay, that's orchatz. The next one is karpas. Karpas is
green vegetable.
Some kind of green vegetable. It can be anything. It can be any kind of green vegetable. Usually people use parsley just because it's nice. It's a symbol of spring and it doesn't taste bad. Just as another aside is once you say the bracha for karpas, you can eat anything that falls under that bracha. So at our table, we have other food on the table so people aren't begging for dinner. We have the things that the Jews asked for, begged for when they were in the desert, when they left Egypt. We have melon and leeks and garlic and balsamic onions and whatever. And you'd be surprised that it really makes your Seder go much nicer because people aren't starving and waiting for the meal and we pass it around and you can, and as long that all those things are under the same bracha as the parsley. So it's perfectly legal and it just makes it a little bit more pleasant, I think. And we've got that because you're always supposed to give credit where credit is due. Ron Wolfson has a book about Pesach and the Seder, and it was his suggestion to do that. And I heartily endorse it. Okay, then we do yachatz, and yachatz is breaking the middle matzah. We break it somewhat in half, but one half is supposed to be bigger than the other, and you put away the bigger half for later. Because when you don't know when your meal is when your next meal is going to be, you try to put away more if you can, so you have it for later. So you put away, and what is that half that you put away? What is it called?
Afikomen.
Afikomen.
Exactly, that's afikomen. Exactly. Okay. Then we do Magid. Magid is just the story. However you tell the story, do it from the Haggadah, whether you have people act it out, whether you have people tell the story, whatever it is, that's telling the story. Okay. And then we go to Rochza, and that is the actual washing of hands before eating. And that one comes with a bracha. Then we do Motzi Matzah, and that we know is the Motzi, same as any other time. Matzah is a bread. You actually should do Motzi and there's a special bracha. Obviously, it's in your Haggadah for Motzi for the matzah, but it's also you say Motzi lechem, the bread. You can actually should do that for tortillas. Other things that people consider bread. Okay. Then so we've eaten the matzah, piece of matzah. Then we do maror. What's maror? Anybody?
The bitter herb.
What is the maror on your Seder table?
Horseradish.
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 It could be horseradish. It could be regular horseradish. It could be fresh horseradish. It could be endive. I just suggest endive to anybody.
That's great.
I'll tell you why.
Really?
Because it's bitter. Belgian endive in particular, not the curly one. The Belgian endive. And if anybody can picture an endive, take one of the leaves off, and what do you picture? It's a scoop.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's perfect to put the roasted on. So I recommend endive because it actually is bitter. People say that horseradish is actually sharp rather than bitter. Some people actually also use romaine. Actually, you can use romaine also. I don't really think it's bitter, but you can use it, and it's very popular. Yes, Judi.
I think radicchio is
Radicchio
bitter.
is another one. Absolutely, all of those things, any of those things are possible, and you actually never eat it alone anyway because they think you're going to get poisoned if you eat something bitter. So you always eat it at least with some charoset, and then okay, so we do that. Okay, eat the bitter herb, and then the korech is the sandwich, the Hillel sandwich we talk about. So we have the charoset and the bitter herb maror, but we also put it in between matzah. So that's the sandwich. Okay, then shulchan orech is
Meal.
the meal. Exactly. We start our meal with a hard-boiled egg. We've had the hard-boiled egg sitting in the salt water that you dip the parsley in, and that's just our tradition. And the tradition of having, you also have an egg, obviously, on the Seder plate, and it's spring and whatever. Okay, so that's the meal. Tzafun is actually eating afikomen. That's the last thing you're supposed to eat. Barech is blessing, which is it's a grace after meals. Any piece of whatever you do you're supposed to do as in any meal. You say that. Then Hallel, and the Hallel is that's the special prayers are called the Hallel. We do also Hallel at Yom Tov services in the morning for any holiday. For Rosh Chodesh also we have Hallel. So that it's the same prayers. Okay, but we do it at our Seder. And then Nirtzah is concluding, whatever you have to do the end part. So that's all of the pieces of your Seder, then you're done. Okay, so that's that. We know that Pesach Seder. Now we're going to finally get to what we came for. We're going to get to Kiddush. Okay? We're not going to do the Friday night part, the Shabbat part, because it's not going to be Yom Tov on Shabbat. Except for Arlene, and that's okay. But you don't have to do that part because it's not okay. So then we get to you. Whatever you do is fine. But here we're talking about Wednesday and Thursday. So we're gonna just start with the Kiddush for Pesach. Would anybody like to start?
I'll try it.
Thank you, Bonnie. And we're starting with a bright Priya Guffin, that blessing.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Ore Pri Hagafen.
Good.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bahar Banu Michol Am Viromanu Michol Lashon
Good.
Vikidashanu
Good.
Bamitzvah Tav
Yep.
Bariren.
But T10, I think it says.
Oh, I'm sorry, but T10.
Right. Okay. I'm never sure that somebody has something different. So I didn't.
No, you're
Yeah.
right. Vati10, Lanu,
Yes.
Adonai, Eloheinu, Hava.
Good.
Now,
Gifted part and brackets. The bracket part is all for Shabbat.
Okay. So, Moadim,
Good.
Lasim Ta. No, Lasim Ha. Lasim Ha. Hagim. Uzmanim.
Good.
Lesason.
Perfect.
Lesason et Yom. Do I read this part with a bracket?
Only all Shabbat.
Okay. Hag. No, Chag.
Yes.
Hamatzot.
Good.
Hazeh.
Yeah.
Zeman. Hebrutenu.
Perfect.
Mikra. Kidesh.
No, look at the vowels.
Kodesh.
Good.
Zecher. Litziat. Mitzrayim. Kivanu. Vaharta.
Good.
Ve'otanu. Kidashta. Michol. Ha'amim. Moade. Kadshecha. Basimcha.
Good.
Ubsason. Hin Chal Tanu.
Good.
Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh Yisrael Vehazmanim.
Perfect. Yes, Arlene.
If we're going to be, can I do it also, or is it too much time?
Of course.
Really?
I would like to do this because as much as, look, each of us at our own seders do whatever we do. And this is not a judgment place. So whatever you do, but most people do Kiddush. So, and we do it out loud, and we do it in Hebrew usually, whether we're singing or reading. So I'd like us to be able to be comfortable, and a lot of it is the same as Shabbos. So it's really very useful to know this prayer. So please, as many people as want to do it, please, I'd like to see. Yes, Arlene.
So, on my book, it also says if the festival is not on Saturday night, recite Shehekianu right here. Is that true?
Correct. Yes, okay. You always do. If I would have turned the page on my book, the next page says on Saturday night we add, because you have to do Havdalah as part of the Seder, or if it's Saturday night.
You're right.
And then you do the Shechianu if you're finished with the Kiddush. And anytime you have the Kiddush, you do the Shechianu. You do it for the lighting of the candles, and you do it for Kiddush for every festival. And Okay. So we don't, this year, normally we would not do it. We would do it, absolutely. Right after we finish the Kiddush, you do the Shechianu. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Good.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol virom manu mikol la shon vikid shanu b'mitzvotav.
Yes.
Vahit vahit
No.
Vatitain.
Yes.
Vatitain lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava mo sadim
Moadim.
moadim litzimcha.
And that's it. 1 second, I'll let you go. Moadim. Kol hamoed. It's the same thing. Okay, festival. Okay, moadim.
Moadim. Lisimcha.
Good.
Hagim uzmanim le sason.
Good.
Et yom hag ha matzvot. Matzot. Ha matzot.
Chaga, that's the matzah holiday. Chag HaMatzot.
Hamasot, is it? Hamasot?
The matzahs. Holiday of the matzahs.
Hazeh.
This holiday of the matzahs.
Ziman. Herutenu.
Good.
Mikra. Kodesh. Zeher. Litziat. Mitzrayim. Ki vanu. Baharta. Viltanu. Ki dashta. Mikol ha'omim.
Amim.
Amim. Umoadim.
No.
Umosadim.
Day, right. A day.
Sadim.
Good.
Day.
It is, you're not far. It's the same thing word as moadim, but it's modified, so it becomes moaday.
So it's umotsa. Is it umotsadeh?
Umoade. It's an
okay.
It's an I.
Umo. Okay. Yeah, because the letters are different. The letters are different than in the other book. So that.
Well, the issue is it's the same thing. It's a different font.
Yeah, different font. I'm used to So umoade.
Yeah.
Kad shaha. Bisimcha. U shason. Han.
No. Look at the house.
Hing chal tanu.
Good.
Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh Israel v'hasumanim.
What was the last word? No. Yeah.
What's the dot? I have a dot in there.
Yes. Manim. But you
okay, so
there's
a dot with the
manim. It's
like Hazmanim. But there's a dot there with
Yes. Remember when I talked about the fact that sometimes the dots make a difference in how you pronounce it, and sometimes it doesn't. It's just it's a thing that it should really, if you were reading it, I think that whatever, it would be hazmanim. You would be repeating that letter. You don't do that. You read hazmanim. So it's a grammatical thing. You don't know it when you're reading it.
The hazmanim.
Right. It's zmanim. The zmanim. The seasons they have. It's time. It's the time of, and it's also a season. Okay. So a lot of this stuff is things that okay. Yitziat Mitzrayim. And Zecher, let's see. What does Zecher sound like to you? I'll give you a what?
Zecher sounds like to remember.
Thank you. Exactly. And that's what it is. Zachor we talk about. Zecher is the same root. So we remember Yitziat is going out of Yitziat, going out of Mitzrayim. So that's holiday. That's one of the names of the holiday. Is Yom HaMatzot is one of the Chag HaMatzot is one of the holidays. Chag HaMatzot, and also Zman Yitziat Mitzrayim is another name for the holiday. Okay, so just so you have some idea, this is what makes it into our Kiddush for Pesach is that kind of stuff, and it focuses on Pesach. We have that in there. Okay. And you'll see Zmanim a lot, Simcha. We're supposed to be happy. That's why I said, you do what you do, and that's why I suggested about the food to keep everybody happy. My husband will tell me that he remembers his father used to shoot parsley across the table, and that kept everybody awake. Personally, one of the things we do is we make origami frogs out of 3x5 cards, and we usually I have found the neon 3x5 cards at Staples, and you make origami cards, and the directions are on the Women's League website, and we use it as a place card. We put the person's name on it, and you could also flip them. If you press the back, it flips. So that's entertainment for adults and children alike during the Seder. And the nice thing about doing it as a place card is people, when they come to the table, you don't have to worry about where do I sit. And plus, we save them from year to year, and we see who was at our Seder the year before, in previous years, which is fun. So just a side note. Does anybody else want to read the Kiddush? I'm not pushing anybody. No? Okay. Cindy came on. Yay, Cindy. Nice to see you here.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if you got my email, but
no,
sorry. My son and I both have COVID. So
my goodness. I'm sorry.
Thanks. So I'm listening, but I don't want to participate today.
You can't go anywhere, so you have to listen. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. When did you get it?
I got sick on Sunday, and my son got sick yesterday.
How are you feeling?
I feel a lot better. I worked. I was on Paxlovid, and I think it's a wonder drug, personally.
Yeah. Good. Oh, I'm glad. Good. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Okay. Yeah, I think unfortunately this stuff is going to be with us forever. But anyway, anybody else want to read? No. Okay. So then we get to the next thing. Clearly, is the Shechianu, as we just said earlier. We all know this. Judi Carlin, would you just like to read the Shechianu for us? But you have to unmute also.
Okay, all right, the Kiddush, the Shechianu.
Should be right after the Kiddush. You have the Kiddush that we read, then you should have the part on Saturday night we add, and then comes the Shechianu.
Yeah, it just doesn't say the Shechianu.
It doesn't say given as a name, but it's there. It's right. Oh, okay. Should be right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamivavio.
No, that's the part for Saturday night. Don't read that paragraph. After that paragraph for Saturday night.
About this discriminating Sabbath day.
It should be right above washing hands.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. On all nights, continue here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam sheheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lezman hazeh.
Good.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. Yeah, you get that's with the directions. You have to be careful. I know, like in our the Siddur, sometimes it has things in brackets for Shabbat. That's pretty common in the Rosh Chodesh place and whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it does say the paragraph above that when the festival falls on Saturday night, add the following.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good. Okay. The next part is easy. Or chats. Somebody washes their hands without the blessing. Usually just the leader. You don't bother as long as you're not doing a blessing anyway. Just usually the leader does that. You have a bowl and a glass, whatever. Okay. Then we get to the dipping the vegetable in salt water, which is the karpas. We have a little bowl of salt water for each person, so you don't have to try to pass around salt water or anything else. So we have a little bowl. We have like my husband's great grandmother's dishes that we use, and in those days they came with everything. So we have a little, I guess it's a dessert bowl, a little tiny bowl, and then we have a bread and butter plate. They don't do this with all dishes, the other dishes I have, but anyway, the little bowl, we put salt water in it, the half an egg, and parsley. So everybody has their own. And so we dip the vegetable in salt water and we recite. Do we have a volunteer? Bonnie, you did so great.
Okay. Pressure's on.
Yeah, you could do it.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'adamah.
Perfect. I knew you could do it. It's the same thing as the blessing for the short Kiddush blessing. As you read it, you can hear it, except for that instead of coming from the vine, it's coming from the
earth.
Exactly.
Earth.
Adama. Coming from the earth. So anything that comes from the earth, you can eat at this point. You can't eat things that come from trees. One of the things also, when you just as an aside, is if you don't know what you're eating or if you're going to eat a lot of different things, what you do, that's why you say hamotzi lechem. Because when you do the bracha when you do the motzi, it covers all food, whatever you're eating. But if you're only eating stuff that grows from the ground, you can say the borei pri ha'adama. Okay, so we said that. The next thing is yachatz, and that's the breaking of the middle matzah. And there's actually no bracha with that. It's just the leader knows that they're supposed to break the matzah and they hide part of it and put the other part back in between the other two matzahs. At some point, and I don't know if people still do it, we had a fourth matzah, and I'm not sure I even remember what the fourth matzah was for. Does anybody remember? I don't know if it was from Russian Jewry or for something. I don't remember who the fourth matzah was for.
Russian jewelry.
Yeah, Russian jewelry. Oh, I was right. Good.
Yeah.
Now we could do it for a lot of people or whatever. Then we go to the Magid, which is the story. We'll do the first part. We uncover the matzah because that matzah reminds us of the whole story, because of all the things with this holiday that can, if you have a single thing to remind you of what holiday you're involved in, if you see matzah, so you know that it's Pesach. So I'm going to read this first. I hope everybody has this in their Haggadah. Halachma Anya Di Achalu Ahavtanu Ba'ara Dimitzrayim Kol Dichbin Yitei. I'm not going to. This is really hard. This is obviously Aramaic, and you know why it's Aramaic? Why do I know? Besides the fact that it's hard to read. Because they're talking about everybody coming and eating. So they want to make sure everybody understands this. Not just the chachamim, not just the rabbis, not whatever. They want to know the people on the street know they can come in. So it's in Aramaic and it's hard, and I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to I'll go call, so do call the fin yate ve'achol kol ditzrich yate v'yifsach. This would be a good thing to read in English, actually. Hashta haba, hashana haba, ba'ara de Yisrael, hashta avdei l'shana haba v'nei chorin. The part we need to know is first, we are here. Hashta haba, haba is here. L'shana haba, the future year, and the next year, the year coming. Ba'ara de Israel, we should want to be in Israel. Hashta avdei, avadim is slaves. Avdei, we are slaves. L'shana haba b'nei chorin, may we be free. B'nei chorin is free people. Okay. Then we do another piece, and then we get to the 4 questions, fair kashas. A kasha is actually not a question. It's I know what the word is. It's a conundrum, because if you read it as it is now, they're not really questions. It doesn't. We have it in the English that has a question mark. Besides the fact that there aren't question marks in Hebrew, it doesn't really say that. It says on all other nights we eat either chametz or matzah. On this night we eat only matzah. There's no Y in there. It says this night. It doesn't say Y anywhere in the Hebrew. So they're actually not the 4 questions. These are not the 4. This is not where the 4 questions were originally in the Seders years ago. Why do I know that it's not in the Seders from years ago? Because this is supposed to be children asking the questions, and I know our children are very smart. But look at the questions we have. You can look at them in Hebrew and in English. We haven't done any of these things yet. We haven't eaten the bitter herbs. We've only dipped once. We haven't dipped twice. We haven't eaten leaning. We haven't done any of these things yet. It used to be much later, but they want to get people involved. Did earlier. Also, there used to be one of them was about meat. One of the questions was different, but this is what we have today, and this is what we use today. Usually we have the youngest person do this. If you've seen, they have, and I'm sure it's online also, you could do it in any language you want, and it's fun. If you have people that either know it in other languages, whether it be Yiddish or French or Spanish or whatever, we have a book that has, I think, 1,001 different languages, including one language that 6 people in the world speak. But it also has legalese, and it has Valley Girl and whatever. Because the whole thing about the just getting back to the real meaning of the Seder and Pesach is to get people involved and get people asking questions. So whatever it takes, is my opinion, is that what you do. And this is a way to get people involved. And they also say, even if you don't have any young children, you still have to obviously ask these questions, because it's for everybody. It's not just for the children. While we obviously are focusing and the children, it's really for everybody. So we have to do the questions whether we have children or not. Okay, and there are different tunes for this. We used to have one tune, now we have another tune usually. So I'm going to just read it, and then anybody who wants to sing, please sing or read. Manish Tana Halayla Hazeh Mikol Halaylot. Manish Tana Halayla, this night Hazeh, Laila Hazeh Mikol, from all nights. Why is this different? I use this phrase a lot. Like if somebody says, she made a great meal and for Shabbos. So you can say, why this night is no different from any other night, or whatever. It has meaning for me anyway. Sheba kol halilot, and all, kol we know is all. On all nights, anu ochlin ochlin chametz o matzah. We can eat chametz or matzah. Halayla hazeh, this night, kulo, we all is matzah. Shebachol halayla anu achlin sha'ar yirakot. We eat all kinds of vegetables. Yerokot is vegetables. Alayla hazeh maror. It's not really true. We do eat other vegetables, but what's prescribed is the maror. Shebachol halelot anu matlin afilu pa'am echat. We don't even dip once. Afilu is even. Pa'am achat, one time. Halayla hazeh shetei fe'amim. Two. Now we dip 2 times. Shebachol, we dip. The first time is when we dip the parsley. The second time is when we dip the maror in the charoset. Shebachol halelot anu ochlin ben yoshvein uvein misubim. On all other nights we can sit upright or we can lean. Halayla hazeh kulanu misubim. Kulanu is all of us lean. Okay. So we don't lean all the time, but when do we lean? If anybody remembers the directions from the Haggadah from previous years, it actually says we lean.
When we drink the wine.
Thank you. Exactly. When we drink the 4 cups of wine. When we eat, we actually don't lean, I don't think, because it's harder. But just as an aside, when we talk about leaning, actually we go back, a lot of this Haggadah is based on the Roman meal. And the Roman meal is, we had laid on those couches. Like, I don't know if anybody has one. My mother had one in her bedroom, actually. You know, a little couch, whatever. Your back is up. Yeah.
Chaise lounge.
Exactly, like a chaise lounge. She had one in her bedroom. They used to eat like, so they would. These are all rich people. We're talking about rich people because we're making ourselves into the higher level on Pesach. A lot of the stuff is geared to that. So you would lay there and you'd have a plate with all the food. If anybody's ever gone to Israel and gone and eaten with the Bedouins, that's how they eat. They bring a plate with them, with a big tray like with all different foods on it. So they would eat and they would lean because they're leaning on the chaise lounge and they would eat like that. Okay, they also dipped, so it's all of this is based on that. So anyway, so that's the 4 questions. And somebody would like to read just for practice for reading. Anybody like to read? I have a volunteer. And you can sing if you want to sing. I'm not against that. But whatever you feel like. Guys. Yes, thank you, Judy, for rescuing me. Thank you, Judy, for rescuing me. Yes.
You're welcome. Now, I only know, for some reason, I only recall the tunes, like the first 2 verses, and then the next 2.
Whatever you like. Whatever works for you is fine for us.
Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylot shebachol halaylot anu oklin hametzu matzah halayla hazeh kulo matzah shebachol halaylot anu oklin sha'a yirakot halayla hazeh mara shebachol halaylot ein anu makbilin afilu pa'am echat halayla hazeh shetei pa'amim shebachol halaylot anu oklin bein yotzvin uvein matzubin halayla hazeh kulanu matzubin.
Good, perfect.
Matzubin.
Right. Actually, that is the tune that we used to use. Everybody used, I think, in the old days.
Probably.
That's the tune we use.
From way back
that
when,
is
right?
The same tune if you see people like studying text, they go da 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 da. And this is the tune that they used to do in doing that. Now we have another one, which of course will not come to me, and there could be any tune. Tunes are
Ma nishtana halayla.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that's the tune.
Oh,
okay, and we all join in actually with that tune. We usually do that tune, and it's the question, people are asking the question, and then everybody answers Halayla hazeh kulo matzah, or whatever the other answer is. That's how we do it. Whatever works for you is good. Okay. All right, so that we know, and probably most of us are not going to be doing that ourselves. which is okay. Hopefully we have some children there that will be doing it. Okay, I'm not going to read you. The next part continues the Magid, and it gives the whole story about the rabbis and they're studying in Bnei Brak, etc. You can do this if you do it in your Seder Kol HaKavod. You can put something else in. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, then we get to the 4 children. Okay, we used to call it the 4 sons. Now we call it the 4 children because we're more liberated. And we try to be gender neutral. As everybody knows, when we're reading Hebrew, there actually is no gender neutrality in Hebrew. It's either masculine or feminine. And as long as you have 1 male, it's masculine. If you have 10 women and 1 male, you read the masculine form, not the feminine form. They are trying to do, I don't know about your shuls, but some of the shuls are trying to make themselves more gender neutral. In English, we say sovereign instead of king. And in the Hebrew, there is a way to sort of avoid it. We don't call the person by the person's name, we call them for the aliyah, whatever. But anyway, this is the 4 children, and this is another thing that can be a little different depending on the interpretations. If you have we have different. I'm just gonna digress for a minute. When we do the Birkat Hamazon, which we will get to. I would like to do a little bit of that. We did a little of it earlier in another session, but Birkat Hamazon, the Harachamans. If you've ever done Birkat Hamazon, there are the Harachamans towards the end, and when we pray for all different things, the oppressed people, the people of Israel, the people at the table, whatever, different things, and you can tell who put out this Birkat Hamazon based on what the Harachamans are. The UJA one specifically says the people that are in trouble, whatever. I don't remember the language. So different ones will say different things. Excuse me. In this, we talk about the wise children and the different possibilities, and you'll see pictures in some of the. One of the things that was very often illustrated was the Haggadah. You couldn't illustrate a Torah. You're not allowed to do that. But Haggadot were illustrated, and they've actually learned a lot about the dress of different time periods in the world, not just Jewish time periods, the world, based on the illustrations in Haggadot from different time periods. So and for example, there's also one that's the bird's head Haggadah. And the reason it's called the bird's head Haggadah is everybody has a bird head. Instead they're people, but they have a bird head. I'm not going to get into this with the 10 Commandments and all that stuff. But you'll see that the Egyptians are not wearing Egyptian clothes in some of the Haggadot. They're wearing the clothes of the people of the time of the Haggadot came about. So, and the 4 children in the one in Israel in the beginning of the state of Israel, when there were the Chalutzim, the pioneers, the wise child was a kibbutznik, and the bad one was actually a pious guy that was, all he did was study. So it's very interesting. There is a Haggadah, which I can't think of right now, and I have it somewhere, maybe I'll have it by next week, that has a lot of, I think the one from Israel, maybe, from Schechter. It has different illustrations from different Haggadot of the 4 children, which is very interesting. And they're not usually children. The illustrations are not always children. Sometimes the child is the last one, usually the one who doesn't know how to ask, but the other people will be adults. In this book, and then you can see, you don't have to see carefully, you can see there's all different colors on each one. This is the 4 children in this Haggadah. And they say the reason that there's all different colors in each of them is that we all have a little bit of each of the 4 children in all of us. Nobody is all wise. Nobody is all this. So we each have a little bit of each, and that's what's in this particular Haggadah. Actually, it's 10:59, so we're not going to go. I'm just going to see about a couple more things, and then we will read Hebrew more next week. We get to, during the Magid section, we continue talk more about our history. The Terach and the idols, which is something that does not exist in Torah, but we don't ask. If you ask 10 Jews on the street about Abraham and his did he destroy his father's idols, they'll say yes, because it has been accepted as truth, even though it's only midrash. Midrash, the point of midrash is to explain things that we don't have an explanation for. The rabbis had questions and problems, so they developed midrash, and that's the answers to things that we don't know, and that's one of the midrashim. The midrash is a little bit like George Washington and the cherry tree. It doesn't show up anywhere that he chopped the cherry tree and said, "I cannot tell a lie. I was the one that chopped the cherry tree." It's actually not fact, but it's part of American mythology, and mythology in the way, not myth like not true. Mythology is part of the story of our history. Not history. It's our story. Is George Washington and the cherry tree, and the same way midrash is part of our story, even though it's not fact. Okay. So we will go to a couple of the other things, and we'll review just the Kiddush and do a couple of others, and maybe we'll do a little of Birkat Hamazon next week. And then it'll be Pesach. Any questions, comments, criticisms?
No, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure what you said, Judi. So next class is the one before Pesach. Are we going to do anything more in the Haggadah?
Yeah, what I'd like to do, and I'm willing to take requests or comments. Maybe we'll do the 4 children. I'd like to do part of Birkat Hamazon and part of Hallel, because both of those not only are for Pesach, but they're also for all of the days. First of all, the Hallel is for other days of Pesach. For the shul in Pesach, we do Hallel, and Hallel actually, at least we only do part Hallel at the end of Pesach, but we also do it for Shavuot. We also do it for Rosh Chodesh and whatever. So I think that's useful to know the Hallel. And Birkat Hamazon, we're supposed to do whenever we eat bread, whatever that may be, whether it's Shabbos or not Shabbos. So I think it's valuable to do those 2 things, and hopefully we'll do at least a piece of them in your Seder. You don't have to do. I'm not telling you have to do the whole thing, but hopefully we do at least a little piece to acknowledge that it's there. So those, and the Hallel in particular is fun to sing. So I suggest that if there's any particular songs from the end that you'd like to do, just because you'd like to be able to do them, or Dayenu or anything else, please let me know, because I'd like to. I did most of the explanations today. We won't do that next week. Try to do more of the real Hebrew. But if anybody has any questions or any requests for any particular pieces, please let me know.
I have one other, embarrassing question here. Usually when we do Birkat Hamazon, we have like separate booklets. Where would I find it?
Okay. First of all,
those booklets.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, it's in that regular booklet. I believe it's in the Birkat, the regular one. If you have this Haggadah, it's actually in this Haggadah. If you have other ones, it may not be in the Haggadah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
Right.
I don't think in this one it's in, and probably not in Maxwell House Haggadah. If you have any other Birkat Hamazon, it should be in that. And I will look at the one that is here, and hopefully see which part is the special part for Pesach, and maybe I'll try to send it out if I can. Just that piece, I can even take a picture and send it out in a message.
Yeah, that's great. That would be great.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll look and see and which things it does exist. So
thank you. I was wondering if it was in the Women's League calendar for some reason.
There is a zone in it. Look, do you know what? You have to look in that. I don't have my calendar with me.
I see it abbreviated. There's an abbreviated.
Right. Just see if there's anything that says Pesach. I don't know. And we can just, we can put
look.
that. I can check and see what that is, and I will send that out, the Pesach part, because most of it is the same. It just, the only thing is we add, like for Shabbos, you'll say, it says Ritzei. There's a special paragraph for Shabbos. There's a special Harachaman for Shabbos. So there will be that for the Seder, but the bulk of it will be the same as it is any other time. So I will check and see and look into it, because I think that would be a nice thing to do next. I would like to do that next week if that works for everybody else. So, but if there's anything else, please let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So anyway, thank you. It's been a pleasure as always, Cindy. I hope you feel better.
Yes,
we will do
yes, feel better.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Well.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you,
good luck with
Judi.
your Pesach preparations.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Judi. Shabbat shalom.
Great class, Judi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judi.